Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ANC3F community meeting, our monthly community meeting. It's March 21st, 2023. We're starting properly at 7. And tonight, I think it's just the longest meeting I've had with the ANC. It looks like we'll end at probably around 10 p.m. So just as the chair, I'm Claudette David. Commissioner for ANC3F 04. So how this meeting works is my job is to help get us through the meeting. And in the meetings with questions, I normally start with commissioners and then we go to community members for questions. And I like to keep questions just keep it at the topic at hand. And also if people can be, precise with questions, but I'll try to make sure that everyone is able to participate because the purpose of these meetings are for the community to learn about what's going on in the neighborhood as well. And, we have business to handle as well. So want to make sure we take care of all that. So with that said, I'm calling the meeting to order and we'll start with a roll call. And I'll just start what I see on the screen. Commissioner Ryan with SMD 3F01.
Commissioner Kudemis Brunoli present.
Don't worry about it. You saw what I did there. You saw what I did there. Commissioner James Tenderick.
Present.
Commissioner Mitch Baer.
Present.
Commissioner Terry Hewitt.
Present.
Commissioner Courtney Carlson.
Here.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda is adoption of tonight's agenda. Are there any changes to be made to tonight's agenda?
Yes, I have one. There's an agenda item looking at a grant application for signage in Rock Creek Park. We're going to be tabling that until next month at the earliest.
All right. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a, I forget how to do this. Can I get approval on, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended.
Seconded.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, and the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is approval of ANC3F meeting minutes. Are there for February 21st, last month's meeting? Are there any changes to the meeting minutes? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes for February 21st, 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye for the approval of meeting minutes for February 21, 2023.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is commissioner updates and announcements. And this is just only for commissioners. And I will just mix it up right now. I will start with Commissioner Mitch Baer.
Are we just doing general stuff now?
Yeah, just general updates.
Okay. I guess I'm going to have a couple of updates. In our last meeting, we had some discussion about shopping carts from Giant Food Store right at the metro stop. And I went in and talked with the manager there, and he indicated that we needed to talk with corporate because he had no control over any way of keeping the carts from wandering into the neighborhoods. So that's one thing that was discussed last month. The other thing that I got a couple of calls about was there seemed to be emergency trucks at the Giant there a couple weeks ago, and the store was closed for about 6 hours. People were told that there was a fire either in the store or in the garage. I made some inquiries, but was unable to determine where the source of the fire was, or how it was treated, or whether it really was a fire or not, since the store was reopened about 6 hours later, and so was the parking garage. So I don't know what was happening there. The other update that there's been a number of my constituents ask about is the Wilson, well, now it's called the different Jackson Reed, I guess, but the DPR pool up there at the high school has been closed for quite some time. And DPR is a little bit hush-hush on what's going on there. It appears that there were some violations of health ordinances there, and they were also working on the HVAC, but it is uncertain when that pool is going to reopen, and people are being directed to other pools in the city in the meantime. So that's my updates.
Thank you, and hopefully we'll probably be able to get some answers from MPD or anyone from Councilman Fruman's office on just what's happening with the pool, and maybe also just the situation in Giant recently. Commissioner James Senderick.
I have no updates as of this point.
Are we, what about that? Okay. I'll ask later. Commissioner Ryan.
I just wanted to build off of Mitch's comments. I did reach out to contact one of the community leads at Jackson Reed High School about the pool. They asked that I call them, and they didn't want to answer it in email, which I found a little bit sketchy, but I have not yet followed up on that to call them. I just would have preferred something in writing from them, but I'll try and follow up with them this week.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, also Al Moker might also be able to help make that happen too. Commissioner Terry Hewitt.
Good evening. The only update I have is we had the 3F Housing Committee meeting this past week. A summary of that meeting will be going out most likely tomorrow or the following day, by the end of this week. In reference to the the fire that affected Giant, it was actually a car that caught fire. It was an individual's car. I have actually a photograph of it. That's why it was closed. In the garage, not far from the entrance, of a person's motor caught fire. And so that's that, but you can get more detail, and I'm sure MPD has a lot on it, but that's what that is. In reference to grocery carts, we did discuss that in the 3F committee meeting, and so there are some options, including the mayor's office of Clean City, with reference to grocery carts, having to do with the number of carts a property has. There are options, and that's in the summary that I put together for the housing committee. And that's it that I have at the moment.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. Commissioner Courtney.
I don't have any updates. I've got things on the list here, but let's fly through this meeting.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners. Moving on to the next item of the agenda are committee reports. And so I will start with the Streets and Sidewalks Committee.
I think Paul is here. Yay.
Yes.
Where is
Hey, everyone. Chair, commissioners, members of the public. So we don't have a big report. We do continue to follow the Connecticut Avenue study. Co-chair Bob is still on the community advisory committee there. So still expecting changes and updates soon, but we don't have those yet. We are also organizing, in lieu of our monthly meeting, we'll be doing a walk of Davenport and Fessenden streets on the Forest Hill side to take another look at DDOT's ability to use interim traffic calming measures that are not capital improvements to improve the fixing of sidewalk gaps and traffic calming. So we'll get that up on the calendar. Encourage everybody who's interested in sidewalks and the ability to walk to come join us on the 8th. And then also looks like we are making some progress on some stop sign work. So we'll have some more updates for you on that moving forward as well.
Thank you for those updates, Paul. When is your next meeting?
So we will do it as that April 8th walk, which is a Saturday. So we'll have an in-person meeting and a site visit on that.
Okay,
I'll
awesome.
get that on the calendar.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
Paul, do you want to speak to the three-way stop sign and the attempt to get the working on the crosswalk?
Oh, yes. So that's so this is the one at 32nd. And
It's Linian. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay. Go ahead.
It's the intersection of Fessenden and Linian. There's going to be a three-way stop sign installed, and the Streets and Sidewalk Committee, along with others, are working hard to also get a painted crosswalk installed there when that work is being done, which is surprisingly more difficult than it seems it should be. But we're not going to be dissuaded from that.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that update. Moving and okay. Yeah, we don't need anything else. Thank you for that update. Anything I'm sorry. The next committee update is from Parks and Watersheds Committee.
We have nothing other than the resolution that we'll be considering a little later this evening.
All right. Any update from Schools and Universities Committee?
Yeah, so a couple of them. So we had our meeting last month, and a few couple things. So with UDC, I'm actually planning on having at our next meeting this month several UDC students to be able to attend. These are students that actually testified with UDC for DC Council, and is sort of hearing like their stories as of like students and how can we help support them in any way. I'm also in works to trying to be able to attend a faculty senate's meeting with UDC in the nearby future. So that is pending. With Howard Law, so I'm happy to report that they are starting to finally work on the new campus master plan. They're hoping to start having drafts or at least like plans for it sometime in the next couple of months. I've been emailing them regarding that, so I'll keep you guys updated on that as well. With the Sheridan School, so I went to a meeting for them. They're start building new construction like in the property itself. So I just went to the meeting sort of hear about like what's happening there. And I think that's it. We will have our meeting a week from today on the 28th. If you want to be on the meeting, please private message me on here and I will get you access to part of that email listserv.
And what's your email address in case someone's watching a video and they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, of course. So it's 3f05@anc.dc.gov. I just put it in the chat right now.
Awesome. And then quick question, will there be a tour of the Intelsat school?
I mean, it could be arranged. I have been contacting with some of the property managers, so I mean, it could be arranged as well too. I haven't worked on it recently, but that is a possibility.
Okay, because I remember our Ward 3 education rep mentioned doing a tour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I talked to him about that a couple weeks ago, and I think he's still working on trying to get all the interested parties available.
Okay. Thank you. Housing and Neighborhoods Committee.
Hi, thank you. I actually have nothing new to add outside of what I've stated, but I can give you a quick rundown. We did talk about, we had property managers and DC government agencies come together to talk about issues. And this was important because this is the first time that property managers have been heard. So I take back what I said. I'll continue with this. This is the first time that they have been heard, and there was wonderful response from the property managers. And one of them was they thought they were alone. They thought that they were the only ones dealing with this problem, and that changed their whole perspective to know that they could talk to other property managers who were going in the same situation. So that's part of why we came together, but it's more bigger picture, how DC government agencies and representatives can better assist in areas that most of us may not even know that are going on. And they, as property managers, may feel that they're in a fog of how to address issues if it's even possible. And one of those was Mr. Hall, Anthony Hall, offering the behavioral health training courses through his institution, through the Department of Behavioral Health. I should say that's their institution, for staff, free of charge, to go and attend these courses to help with being able to assist with working with individuals who may be struggling at some level. And that was highly welcomed. The other, that's just sort of simplifying the issue. There also, the grocery cart issue is a very big issue. There's some buildings that average 20 to 40 carts in their building, and they're trying to get them back to the stores. They're trying to figure out a way. One apartment building manager, they paid $2,400 to get carts sent back to the grocery store. And MPD enlightened us to, as well as reminded us that taking a cart from a grocery store is essentially stealing, and it's theft 1 and theft 2. If those, with some other caveats to go with that, referencing the store actually following through. But we do have some avenues through the mayor's office of Clean City. I've also reached out to DPW to see how they can help with this situation with carts that have been abandoned. There is a vehicle abandonment law that's not specific to that. This could fall under that, so we'll see. The next meeting is May 2nd at 3 p.m. and that will be posted, and the information will be sent out. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that update. The next item on the agenda is the community forum. And I usually start with UDC, but I wanted to make a quick announcement that, and I almost forgot that we are looking for a communications associate that we're paying, I think it was $1,500 a month. And we're looking through the end of next year. So we really need a lot of help with our social media, just getting content up, and we're doing more outside of the social media world too, but also getting information about ANC3F and using other resources to get information out on ANC3F. And just being able to handle our website as well is a big thing, and being able to update our website. I did reach out to UDC to help us out with that. I got to just send them the job description, because it'll be good to get, someone who is connected to our community as well. But just wanted to let everyone know that, and we could be reached at communication at commissioners@anc3f.com if anyone's interested. But I'll try to get the job description up as well as soon as possible. I want to start. So with the community forum, I just have identified just our regulars, but it's open to everyone. So I'm just going to go through some of the usual community leaders, and then if there's any other updates that anyone else has. So I'll start with UDC.
Thank you, Commissioner David. Good evening, everyone. Just a few updates. Next Thursday, March 30th, beginning at 9 a.m., the university will have our budget oversight hearing with DC Council. So anyone who would like to attend and or testify is welcome to join that session. And then we have a lot that's going on at the university, really too much to talk about right now. I know we have a long agenda. So I did put the university newsletter in the chat. Please feel free to click on it and see all of the great things that are happening on our campuses. And then if anyone has any questions, I am open to answering any questions.
Are there any questions? Steve McManus.
Hi, friends. I'm the head of school at Edmund Burke School, the new head, just got here in July. So I've been in the job.
Welcome.
Just been here for about 8 months and have been, as part of my learning journey, trying to kind of learn the school, also trying to kind of develop connections and outreach in the neighborhood and making sure that Edmund Burke remains and strengthens its position in the community. So a lot of folks on this call who I've hosted at the school. Marlene, I see you out there. James was at the school a couple weeks ago. Matt Fruman came by. Captain Bridges hosted him on campus. Gloria, I see as well. So I've been sort of systematically trying to kind of make those connections up and down Connecticut Avenue with the community. And, extend an open invitation to all of you on the call to come visit, take a tour of the school, come see what's going on at Edmund Burke. I will say just one other brief update on everyone's mind at our school and our community, and perhaps everyone on this call, as we're getting close to the 1-year anniversary to the April 22nd shooting. And our community has been on that healing journey for a year. And that's been a huge part of my leadership and a part of my onboarding as head of school. And the school is, handling that day with a lot of thought, a lot of attention and care to develop some programming for students, as well as, some of the community members. Again, Captain Bridges and the folks at MPD have been just phenomenal in supporting Edmund Burke through that. No major building projects on the horizon. However, our bridge, which sustained, considerable damage in that shooting, is going to be restored. And so that the plans for that restoration are underway and are happening over the summer. But really, I'm here tonight just to sort of connect with all of you. I'd like to be here every third Tuesday, but it's the same night as my board meeting. So this was the one off week. So, wanted to be here and just say a few words of welcome, introduce myself, and invite anyone to reach out to me if you have questions or would like to come visit the school.
Thank you. What's your email address so people can, if anyone wants to reach out to you, and if you can put it in the chat as well.
Will do.
All right. Remove spotlight. Is Gloria here with Van Ness Main Street?
Yes, Commissioner. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is Gloria Garcia with Van Ness Main Street. I am happy to, it's a nice segue because I did meet with Steve McManus from Edmund Burke. And so the first, actually the first announcement I have, I want to announce that Marlene Berlin is now our president of the board of Van Ness Main Street. She is stepping in for a transitional year, and we are so grateful. I know I am. Marlene is one of the founders of Van Ness Main Street and has continued to be very active. So that is one of our big announcements as we move further into 2023. Second, segueing from Steve's announcement, we are having our first in-person fundraiser in 3 years, and and this is on April 29th from 7 to 11 p.m. And Ryan is doing me the favor of putting up the PDF that has all the information and a QR code for anyone to buy tickets. And big thanks goes to UDC as always. Not only have they, again, committed to the amphitheater, but for our fundraiser, they are providing the Theater of the Arts for the fundraiser free of charge. So we're really thrilled, and it really is a community celebration. There is going to be food from all the restaurants listed as donations. So it'll be really a great experience to taste a lot of the food. We have Calvert Woodley donating all the beer and wine. And then we have Edmund Burke, the band. The school band will be welcoming guests as they arrive to the theater. Then we have UDC's Jazz. Dr. Alan Johnson will be playing with his trio for about an hour. And then we have the Carly Harvey Quartet. Blues will be playing. And she just played at the Millennium Stage at the Kennedy Center. So we're thrilled to have her back. And then we have the Crush Funk Brass Band closing out the evening, which a lot of people love. So we hope to see all of you there. And of course, you know, all of this, 65% of the tickets will be tax deductible. So it is a good cause. Other things in the community, you know, Kathy Sykes, our master gardener, is starting her spring planting. So all of this you can find on our social media, how to volunteer. We already have a lot of volunteers for this first weekend. We also have some new businesses, you know, that Call Your Mother opened, but also James Elefantis of Comet has taken over the Sugar Fox space, and it will be Honeybee Goods. Will also be a bakery, full service bakery. So that's exciting that James now has 4 businesses along that block. So I'm very glad that our existing business owners continue to invest in the community. Also, to follow up on the Giant and the carts, I want to thank Mitch Bear for reaching out and helping on this. I also, Commissioner Hewitt, thank you for that follow-up. I feel like I've been alone on the Giant shopping cart crusade. So we are going to continue reaching out to corporate. So if we try all avenues, I think Giant might hear us. The other thing that I wanted to point out too, unfortunately, and it's because it affected my businesses, but Saturday night we had 2 car break-ins that affected some of our customers that come to the corridor. Calvert Woodley, one of their finest customers, bought 3 cases of wine, then went to dinner, we assumed somewhere close by. And when they came back, the cases of wine were gone, the car was smashed. Same with up in the upper corridor, people having dinner at Americano had picked up family from the airport. When they got back, all the suitcases were gone, the car was smashed. So I think, you know, I'm not a crime crusader. I just want to echo MPD, do not leave anything visible in cars. You know, we're having a surge, but, you know, MPD always tells us don't leave anything in the sight to tempt anyone. The rest is, we'll report more, but movie night is all set. We'll get those dates out to you, but we have 4 great movies this summer, 2 in June, 2 in July. And then Art All Night will be on September 29th and Spectacular is October 29th. So we're rocking and rolling in 2023. So thank you to everyone. And hopefully we'll have more updates on new businesses coming to the corridor soon.
Yes, I see the signs for moms already.
Yes, we're working with moms. I just spoke to their COO of operations today. It's turning into a little bit of a puzzle that the ANC will probably hear about further, because I recommended that he reach out to the ANC. But that UDC building is sitting on WMATA land. And because of that, it has to go through the Commission of Fine Arts approval for any signage. And that signage was rejected. The only thing they've approved is a 5x5, which does not satisfy mom's needs as a business. So you'll be hearing more of that. We're gonna, you know, pull all stops to try to help. And Commissioner Tanderick, I'll be in touch with you too on that.
Thank you. Mitch, Commissioner Bayer has a question.
Yes.
Gloria, thank you for the update. What is that date in April for that event?
Okay, it's April 29th. It's a Saturday night. And in the chat, Ryan has put the PDF flyer up.
Yep, I couldn't put the PDF, but I linked to your event page on your website.
Thank you. Okay.
Even
thank
better,
you.
because you can buy tickets right where he linked.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for that update. Now, is there anyone from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, also known as Smokers? If they're here, seeing none, anyone from METS, from
I
council?
think Christian Damiana's on the call, maybe. I
Hello.
saw him, yeah.
Indeed. Yep. I'm here with Councilmember Furman's office. My name is Christian. And I'm just here to provide some quick updates about what the council member is working on. A big thing coming up is tomorrow morning, the mayor will present her budget to the council. We're hopeful that the budget is going to be ambitious, especially in regards to fully funding our public schools, which was an issue that we've been discussing in recent months. But regardless, the council member is committed to continuing to advocate for the things that were included in his budget priorities letter in February. And we'll be sending a newsletter in the coming weeks to really dive into the mayor's budget proposal and see, what worked and what needs to be improved. So that's something to stay tuned for. Another update that I think will be interesting to all of you in 3F is on Monday, the council member introduced the Rent Stabilization Protection Amendment Act. This legislation would remove the exemption of housing vouchers from rent stabilization laws. That essentially means that it would allow the voucher program to coexist with rent stabilization, more commonly known as rent control, without one form of affordable housing sacrificing another. So this legislation would level the playing field for all tenants, both private and voucher, preserve housing voucher dollars to make sure we're conserving taxpayer dollars and can serve more residents, and then avoid artificially inflated rents because of the dangerous upward pressure we're seeing in the market as a result of some of these issues. So Councilmember Robert White, who's the chair of the Housing Committee, has committed to hold a hearing on our legislation in the coming months. And it was co-introduced by 8 council members, including Chairman Mendelson. So we are confident that it has some robust support on the council. Other than that, I will drop our email and website in the chat. Please do use our constituent services form if you have any questions. We're happy to help you however we can. If you have any questions now, I'm happy to take them. Just raise your hand.
Have we got any questions from commissioners, from the community? Karen Caston has a question.
Yes, fumbling around trying to find the hand icon.
Oh.
Christian, thank you very much. I read the one-page summary that Matt Fruman put out about the bill. And I have to admit, I haven't read the actual legislation, which I will do soon. But can you explain how things will work briefly? How will the city's payments to landlords for voucher recipients' rents be brought under control through rent stabilization? How will that be done?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we view this as one step in addressing a larger issue that, can't be fixed with one piece of legislation. So, of course, many of us read that article in the Washington Post and then recently in DCist about these incessant overpayments of DCHA to these landlords. And that's unacceptable and it needs to be addressed to comply with federal rent reasonableness standards. But this bill would only really affect what's happening in rent stabilized units. So what would happen is, now, when DCHA goes to lease for a new unit, one that is not previously rented to a voucher recipient, they would negotiate for a reasonable rent that would be what a person in rent-controlled unit would pay, not necessarily the market rate for the unit if it weren't rent stabilized. So it essentially just applies the federal standard for rent reasonableness to rent stabilized buildings. I know that that's a little nuanced. Please do reach out to our office and our legislative director if you need additional clarification. He'll be happy to explain it to you further.
But Christian, that's only new units that have never before been used for voucher recipients. What about the thousands?
Yeah, I think that's a question you should ask our legislative director. I think that when they go to renew the leases, however that process occurs is when they would be able to renegotiate that. But I'm actually not sure about the specifics. Stephen will be able to help you more.
Steve Palmer,
Yes, correct.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christian. Appreciate your update. And now I will just,
There's also a hand raised for Harry, by the way.
Thanks, James.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to follow up on what Christian was saying. And Christian, if I understand correctly, and I talked to OTA just briefly, the point is that now there's an exception for apartments rented to voucher recipients. So if someone lives in an apartment that is somewhat below market rate in a rent stabilized building, and that's largely seniors who've lived there for a long time. If that person moves out, a voucher recipient can pay much more, up to $2,648 for that apartment. It could be $800 above what the cap is for that apartment. So this would mean that they can't pay more than market rate. They can't obliterate rent stabilization when those payments are made. So right now the incentive is extremely high to rent to voucher recipients over non-voucher recipients. This would lower those incentives. It doesn't fix the situation because they can still pay $2,648, which is about $600 above market currently. Now, DCHA is supposed to change that. But I think the law, if I understand, or the bill, is a step in the right direction. So I just wanted to thank Councilmember Fruman for moving forward on that.
Thank you, Harry. I'll be sure to pass that on to the council member. I know he's been in touch with you in recent months many times about this legislation and some other issues. So I'm glad we're able to come up with something hopefully we can all agree on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And I will now move to the next
We
item.
have a hand raised from Tim.
I'll have to
Apologize.
move. I'm sorry. No, I have to move to the next item on the agenda at the moment. So you'll just be able to follow up with Christian because we have to move on. So the next item on the agenda is public safety update from Captain Ronald Bridges. Captain Bridges, are you on? Okay, we'll have to give him some time. I will now go to DC Water.
Awesome. Thank you, ANC3F. As you all know me, Emmanuel here. I'm going to hand things over to Jarrell in a second, but I just want to say up front that we had a successful start to our CIPP operations last week, and that includes 2 successful shots. Our first 2 shots were very successful. As promised, we'll be providing the information on all these activities. So next week, we'll be providing the data from the air quality monitoring. We'll be sending that out to the ANC, to the council member's office, and to the Ward 3 MOKers. But the information will all be posted on our website, so anyone can access it. We'll just be emailing it to the elected officials. So actually with that, I'm going to hand things over to Jarrell to go through these brief slides that we have for tonight.
Hey, good evening, commissioners. So I'll get started. It's a pretty brief slide we'll go through. This is just the agenda for tonight. Project background you're pretty familiar with. The 6,200 linear feet of pipe that's being rehabbed. Project benefits, I think we are all familiar with, so we'll get to status update. As you all know, our construction hours remain the same. That's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturdays. Current status, as Emmanuel mentioned, we've successfully installed shots 1 and shots 2 of CIPP liner, and that's near site 6 at Broad Branch. Right now, we're doing a QA/QC review of the CCTV footage of the line pipe. And that's still in process, and we are preparing to begin installing shots 3 and shot 4. Taking a look at the map, if you could look at the lower right-hand corner where you see site 6, that area that is kind of highlighted in yellow, that's that segment of the pipe, that's what we lined last week. The green dotted lines represent the remaining portion of pipe that's been CCTV to date. And those will be our next segments of work. Currently, those will be our next sections of work. Right now, site 1 still at 55% completion status. We'll be working on that soon, as well as site 4, which is 70% complete. And that stream work will be complete once we finish with the remaining CIPP work. Here's a look at the anticipated CIPP schedule. Just do want to keep in mind that construction activities may shift depending on weather and other unforeseen activities. And shown in this schedule, air monitoring is done at all times during the CIPP operation. Here's a deeper look at the shot map. This is showing the pink area. The highlighted pink area is the 219 foot of mainline pipe that we rehab. So that's lined. And this is a look at site 2, shot 2, with the pink highlighted segment representing the portion of pipe that was lined. Here's some photos from the CIPP activities. The cleaning of the sewer pipe. There's a photo of the reefer truck being delivered with the liner. The unloading of the liner. Some preparation for the manhole. That's a look at the insertion tool that's connected on the back of the boiler truck. And then a shot of the insertion of the CIPP liner. Just some additional photos. At the top there, that's the PID air quality testing device. There's a photo of one of the inspectors collecting some of the samples. Some other testing equipment. There's a shot of the CCTV monitoring truck. Then a photo of a safety briefing we had before beginning this operation. Some upcoming activities that may produce some noise will be the returning to do the remaining portions of stream work, and that'll include the running of a stream bypass pump, which will be needed in order to safely do the work in that area. The sewer bypass pump, which is located at the end of Audubon Terrace, we began using that last week. As we perform the CIPP installation, and those pumps will be in use as we continue to finish installing the line. And here's some photos of the bypass pump just so you have a better idea. And they are sound attenuating pumps. They run pretty quiet. And the system is routinely monitored for any deficiencies. So the contractor checks on the lines, the pumps, and makes sure everything is running in perfect working order before getting started. And we remain committed to stakeholder engagement, providing those community updates, regular updates, and attending these ANC meetings. And continue to coordinate with the property managers and other residents in the area. This is the best way to contact the DC Water team if you have any questions or concerns regarding the project. Once again, we have a 24-hour project hotline, and that phone number is 202-301-8058. And if you would like to be added to our weekly project updates, just send an email, add me to soapstone.info@dcwater.com. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I see I have a question from Commissioner Bear.
Gerald, thank you very much for that update. I want to go through a couple of points on your slides. You may need to go back. You have it scheduled there showing that shot 3 was going to start on the 20th and the 21st of March. It's right there. It's already the 21st of March. Are you indicating that that's going to be delayed a week or so?
Gerald, happy Darrell. For the CCTV, as Kenny was telling you on site, the CCTV wasn't completed until yesterday, so they can't start segment 3 until we approve the CCTV. So that's why the delay. So probably be once we finish, we just got it yesterday. So we will give that comment back to the contractor by tomorrow. So that would kind of move the it will move the schedule forward a little bit. So we will give you a revised schedule once we pick up on shot 3.
Okay. Now those shots on that main line of the main sewer line, that's not including the trunk line work that will be done towards the Lenore Lane. That'll be done later. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Couple other things. There had been a question about that sump pump, or now the bypass pump that's at site 1. It looked like the pump that you're using now is different than the one you used back last year sometime. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is different from the one that we're using at site 1 is different from this one. This one is this is for swap pumping. The other one is just for stream work.
Okay.
So that's different between the two of them.
Okay, Peter, thank you. I haven't been back in DC in several weeks, unfortunately, and so I don't know whether it's noticeable noise there or not. When I get back, I will check into that, but if there's anyone on the call, on the meeting this evening that can go into that, I'd appreciate someone raising their hand and chiming in. Next thing is the bypass pipe itself. You had a tree fall on that pipe, and I guess the tree was removed because actually I walked the pipe line a couple weeks ago and I didn't notice that the tree was on any part of it. So thank you for removing that, or having someone remove it. Have you tested the integrity of that pipeline so that we know that it'll be working correctly once it gets in use?
Yes, United tested it before they install it. We know we owe you some questions. We were busy last week. We will answer those questions that Marlene sent in detail. The pump was tested before it was installed and after it was installed.
Okay, and now one question about an issue that's been going big discussions for quite a while. Are you guys, I've asked you a number of times, and I asked you again in a written letter to Emmanuel, whether you guys were going to incorporate a shutdown procedure in case something goes wrong, or your monitored information indicates higher than safe levels of air pollutants. Are you guys going to incorporate that shutdown process into your plan of operation?
Yeah, I don't know whether Will is here. As we told you before, and as Stephen from DOE indicated to in a reply to Marlene, there's no, once you start, you can't stop. So that's where we are. There's if you stop, we will make it worse. So we will address your question, but the short answer is that no. the DOE, who is the regulator, what they told us was that if anything go above action level, we will expand the perimeter of the work zone. That's what we agree with DOE so far.
Okay, but what if you have a catastrophic explosion from the boiler truck? What are you going to do?
We are coordinating, as you know, we are connected with the fire department every morning before we start work. Fire department, we are coordinating all our work with fire department, and we also have DOE inspector on site.
Okay, I'll now yield any time to the community or the other commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Have we got any questions from other commissioners? Are there any questions from the community?
This is Marlene. I have a question. I can't find my raised hand signal here.
Yes.
So I had asked about the pressure that the bypass pipe can withstand, given that we do have trees that fall down in the park. And I have yet to get that information. If a large tree falls on the bypass, will that pipe withstand that pressure coming down on it? And there are also hookups on that bypass pipe that could possibly spring a leak. And so my concern is that if one of those things happens and the bypass pipe cannot facilitate the sewage, would that stop the process?
Marjorie, I think in regards to the pressure of the pipe, I believe in the email response to you by Will, I think he can answer that question. That we are using a special pipe, for the bypass.
No, I understand that, but as Mitch has said, things can go wrong. And so my concern is that if the bypass pipe, something happens, then what happens to the whole the SIP process? So we can take this offline and we can, discuss this, but I think this is an issue that really I need some education about.
Marjorie, I just want to apologize. We owe you a question, the question about this stuff that you sent to us. We were busy all last week, to get it started.
Okay.
We will provide it to you by close of business tomorrow. I apologize. We dropped the ball. We will explain to you in detail all those questions that you asked.
Okay.
So, I apologize for
that. Marjorie has a question.
Yes, thank you. I'm particularly interested in what the monitoring equipment looks like, and you showed that but went through very quickly. Could you go back over those? I think there were 3 or 4 slides, and I'm particularly interested in the refrigerator truck because that's where emissions can leak very quickly.
Yeah.
Marjorie, the one you're interested is where that guy is standing up. That's the canister. Oh, Jerome, go back. Okay, where that guy is standing, where you say WRF UTA inspector, that's the canister. Stephen Howard was there, so he wanted us to place it right there where the point source emission will be coming out from. That's that canister right there. We've collected the data and we sent it to the lab.
Okay, so the 2 that you're showing, all right, so you're showing the PID and then the top other 2 are the canister grabs.
That's correct.
And then what lab do they go to? How quickly are they sent out?
It's supposed to be back, if I'm not mistaken, supposed to be back on Friday. The result of the sample is supposed to be back Friday. And I believe Emmanuel at the beginning said he's going to send it to all the commissioner, city council, and upload it on our website.
Okay. And are the contractors going to be wearing PPE equipment?
Yeah, they're all wearing the PPE equipment. The inspector, the contractor, everybody.
Do you have a photo of that?
Everybody that visited the site.
Okay. Thank you. And I second what Marlene was asking. I think it's extremely important.
Any other questions from the community?
I have one more question, please, Coletta. There has been also a continuing question about one more tree in site 1 that's been tagged and whether it was going to be cut down. Have you guys made a decision one way or the other on that tree yet?
Yeah, Commissioner Mitch, that request actually came from NPS. The tree in question was a non-invasive tree that they want us to take down because it doesn't belong to the park. So we've asked NPS, they still want us to take it down.
Okay, can you keep us informed on that process of what happens between you and NPS with regard to that tree, please?
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any other questions from the community? Seeing none, we're still on track right now with time. Thank you, DC Water. You may want to just stay on for our next item on the agenda, which is a resolution regarding DC Water's main and trunk sewer line relining project in Soapstone Valley. Mitch, have you got that resolution to pull up to share the screen? You're on mute.
I'm sorry. If you'll share the screen with me, I can go and grab it.
Yeah, you can just. Yeah, you could just do it. James, do you have it up already?
I'm pulling it up in 1 second.
Okay, like anyone can pull it up. I definitely don't have it up already. Did you want to talk a little bit about this resolution, Mitch, while we were pulling it up?
Yeah, we've put this resolution together to not only address some of the issues that we're presently finding that continue to be outstanding with regard to the Soapstone Valley project, but also to put the ANC on record and making recommendations with regard to how DC Water and DOEE proceed into the future, because we see that this type of work will be done in other areas of the city. So what we're saying is that with your response today about some items, we may have almost a resolution with regard to the resolution's provisions there. And in some cases, moving forward, we are hoping that when you move into other areas of the city, that you change some operating procedures. So the whereas talks about what has been done in the past, including the presentations that you guys have made and the plans that you have circulated with regard to how you're moving forward and the 4 possible modes of curing that liner material. You've chosen to cure it with the hot water solvent curing. We are in this resolution recommending that in the future that the UV light curing process be the one that's used. We're also recommending that in light of the fact that right now you do not have, hold that there, James, please. Thank you. Now have not provided a shutdown operations provision in case we have accidental release of the compounds that have been shown in the air quality monitoring plan to be hazardous, that we're going to recommend into the future that you in fact provide that. And so we will be asking DOEE in the future to ask DC Ward to have a shutdown provision, because we think that it's important to have that shutdown provision in place, just in case something very catastrophic goes wrong, that you shut down operations. We also had a question, which I think was resolved, but not maybe entirely today, with regard to the bypass system for the wastewater and sewage that is going to be used while the CIPP process is in place. So we would hope that we can figure out a way of having a monitoring plan for leaks from that pipe that you're using, and move forward that way. We're concerned for the health of the community, the apartment buildings, the schools, the businesses, the office buildings that are surrounding in case of any worksite problems. And we want to ensure that in the future that their protection is the paramount concern of DC Water and the city and DOEE. We also had a concern about that noise from the sump pump. That may not be a problem now that you have a different pump being used for the bypass, but I can tell you that if you have another sump pump that you need to use to bypass the water in any stream, that we would hope that you would in fact be able to cover it so that the noise is not prevalent there. So moving forward, we're asking DOEE to adopt some of these provisions, including a shutdown provision, and also to ensure that the process use the UV method, and that the monitoring plan in the future not only is air quality monitoring, but also for the bypass pumping that is going to be a key part of it. So I think that kind of gets us down to the bottom. Yeah, I think that kind of gets down to the bottom of it. If any of the commissioners have any further comments on the resolution or questions, I'll try to address them, and I'll turn it back over to Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the community? Any response from DC Water?
I think this is the first time we hear about the resolution. We'll let legal know and then offer manager.
Any questions from commissioners? Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
If I can move to have it approved, I will do so.
Second.
All in favor of the resolution encouraging the the resolution regarding DC Water's main and trunk sewer lines relining project in Soapstone Valley. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you, Mitch. So next steps, Mitch, is you'll follow up with DC Water on all those specific items.
Yep, I will do that.
Thank you. And then the next item on the agenda now is the resolution encouraging the National Park Service to install E. coli and other hazardous dissolved materials warning signs at Rock Creek Park trailheads for trails with creek crossings, warning hikers and trail users to refrain from contact with creek waters due to the high levels of E. coli and other potentially hazardous dissolved materials. Again, it's you, Mitch. Did you want to talk about this resolution?
Okay. I first want to thank Marlene Berlin for having done such good investigative and reporting on this. We have known for many years, and it's a kind of an article of faith that as a trail maintainer there in Rock Creek Park, I've been told that we were to instruct people to stay out of the water in the creeks and streams going into Rock Creek because of high E. coli and other hazardous pollutants in the water. And Marlene came upon some USGS samplers of the water in that watershed and indicated that there were very high levels of E. coli, so high that they had to dilute their samples, sometimes 1,000%, to just stay within the measurable levels for the E. coli. So it's pretty hazardous there. And anyone who has seen the outfall at Albemarle of the creek that goes through Soapstone Valley after a rainstorm, it bubbles up as if there's some type of
You're oh, sorry, you muted for a second.
I'm sorry.
You can continue. I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you for a second.
Oh, okay. I apologize. And you can see that you can smell the water coming out of that outfall. So what we're asking DPS, National Park Service, excuse me, and DOEE is to put up signage in locations where the public will see that sign before they get to the water in the creeks and in Rock Creek itself and some of the parking areas, to put up signs indicating that contact with the water in Rock Creek and its tributaries is hazardous to public health and is not safe for contact by both humans and pets. And that we ask DOEE to install signage, as well as National Park Service to install signage to, again, to warn people off of going into the water. So I think with that, it explains generally what's in the resolution. And again, I'll take any comments from the commissioners or questions, and thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the comments from commissioners? Any questions?
I don't want to take much time, but I want to thank Mitchell for bringing this to our attention. I know there's a lot of people in this community who know this for a long time, but I was really horrified as a user of Rock Creek Park. And I think it is obviously, I mean, it states the obvious to say the best thing we could possibly do is have signs letting people know that this is the case as they're using the park. So thank you so much.
I see a question or a comment from Morgan.
Hey, I just wonder whether there's some, and maybe I missed this, whether they have any sense of the timing of this. Is it something that they expect to be somewhat transient? Is this it forever? This is now the new normal? I actually care about DC tax money so much. I hate to see them do so. I guess it's Park Service, have some major thing to put up a bunch of signs if it's something that they really expect to be better a month from now. I understand, I totally understand where everyone's coming from. But Park Service, you know, for them to put up signs, they probably spend an insane amount of money. They're not just going to put up cardboard signs. What's the timeline?
Well, this problem has been known for years and years. And it's because the watershed that drains into Rock Creek has high levels of industrial waste and wastes from the watershed that have caused these high E. coli concentrations and has hazardous pollutants in it. Every time it rains, the rain takes gasoline and other types of substances that are on the streets and washes it into the watershed. Until we address where those pollutants are coming from, in other words, stop having the release of these pollutants from the watershed sources, then we're going to have this problem. So it's not a transient problem. It's been known for many, many years. USGS has been tracking this all along. So it's something that needs to be addressed, because we know people are going to continue going into the water. We know that the watershed is going to be kind of dumping some of these pollutants into the watershed.
And is there a record of people getting sick?
You know, we don't have access to anything like that. I wouldn't know even where to go and try to investigate that. When I guess you could go to hospital records, but we've never tried to ascertain how many people are being made sick. All we know is that these levels of E. coli and other pollutants in there, if ingested, are not safe for human consumption or for consumption by animals.
Morgan, if I may say, we were talking about this as a group and talking about this, speaking of this as we approach the spring, where people are spending more time in the park and walking their dogs down. And as a parent and a dog owner, if I didn't know, and I didn't know about the high levels of E. coli, and I totally understand what you're saying about like going out and printing a bunch of fancy signs, but it allows you to be an informed citizen of this neighborhood to say, I'm going to let my dog pop into the creek, or I'm going to let my kids put their feet in there, or I'm not, because I have the appropriate information. So that was my part in wanting to sign on and be supportive of this, even though I understand your feeling about printing up a bunch of pieces of something, right?
If I may add, the direct contribution of E. coli into that watershed could potentially be decreased by the sewer relining project that DC Water is doing. It's of course never going to be fully gone, because there's a lot more contributions to the watershed than soapstone, but it just could help in the future.
Yeah, I mean, this is my last word on it. I guess I'm always a bit of a contrarian. I've lived here for 30 years and had kids playing in that, goofing around in the edges of that stream, and lots of other people have. I get it. It's concerning. I don't know whether there is actually really a problem that we're solving. That's it.
Well, I'm not sure that we're solving a problem until we eliminate the sources of the precursors for the E. coli levels that are in the water, or the hazardous pollutants that are in there, the petroleum runoff and some of the other industrial types of runoff, the fertilizer that's coming from the lawns and other areas of the community and stuff. What we're just trying to do is inform the public on the information that we have found, and making them aware that the levels may not be everywhere at the same level, but there are some areas where those levels of E. coli and other hazardous pollutants have been pretty high.
This is Marlene Berlin. I just wanted to just stress that I was not concerned until I spoke to the U.S. Geological Survey, of two fellows who were taking samples at Joyce Road in Rock Creek. And when I asked about the levels of E. coli, I mean, I could not get the person to, I mean, he just went on and on and on about the danger and said, you need to warn people. And it was really coming away from that conversation from a water engineer who's doing sampling, who's telling me that our water is, you know, dangerous and that people should not go near it. That really made me think that people needed to be warned. So that's my parting comment.
Marjorie has her hands up.
Yeah, just a quick thing. In listening to this conversation and having researched E. coli in the stream years ago, and talking with UDC, which has a professional water quality engineering lab, and they were going to set out and monitor it on an ongoing basis. When I researched it, and again, this is at the time, I was told that this is normal, that this happens. And I don't know what levels you were getting, or they were getting, but I was told that there's no reason for concern unless you come upon multiple illnesses, sort of like food poisoning type of thing. So maybe it just needs a little more research. I don't know. I mean, I'm giving you my level of knowledge, but based on the research that I did, you know, half a dozen years ago. So, and listening to this, maybe we just need to do a little bit more research before pressing for all those signs. I realize that it's especially when you see children playing in the water and then touching their face or their mouth. Yes, people need to be warned, but having signs all over could be going overboard. I don't know, just a suggestion.
If I could,
Well, I'll point out that the National Park Service has found that it's important enough to alert people to the levels of chemicals in the watershed by the fact that the National Park Service has awarded a grant to Rock Creek Conservancy to put up signs, and they have put up signs already in some of the areas of the watershed. So
In Montgomery County, right, Mitch?
I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, I think it is in Montgomery
That's
County.
what we said in the resolution. Yeah.
So I think that we're not raising, you know, an issue that hasn't been talked about even in Park Service, and they're doing something about. What we're asking for is some additional signage in some of the areas that people go, where we're not 100% sure, but Joyce Road at Rock Creek Park, you know, everyone knows where that is if you've gone up Beach Drive. And so that is inside the park pretty nicely. And people downstream from Joyce Road go into the water at Pierce Mill. So what we're doing is trying to follow up on something that Park Service has already started doing.
All right,
If
one
I
more.
could-
Yes, Commissioner.
oh, pardon. If I could add to those who are saying that we might need to step back or do more testing, the fact that the federal government, US Geological Survey, has testing, so it's a matter of just requesting that testing if that's needed. The National Park Service has testing, but furthermore, when you're playing in water or you're near water and a person is infected by E. coli, your result from the doctor isn't going to necessarily be that you have E. coli. It will mask itself in something else. It could come across as a form of a common cold. So for those who are saying, well, we haven't heard this, I think it's also a matter of looking at the National Department of Health as well as DC Department of Health. I'm certain that they have some records, but again, to be warned, it doesn't mean just because people have now been affected by E. coli that it's going to hit the news that there's an E. coli outbreak. It could just be a common cold. It could mask itself as the spring cold. It could mask itself as just diarrhea. So there are a lot of things. But it's real. And we're not the only area that is trying to address this issue. Thank you.
Are we ready for a vote? Can I get a motion on the resolution encouraging the National Park Service to install E. coli and other hazardous dissolved material warning signs at Rock Creek Park trailheads?
So moved.
I second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the grant application for Friends of Pierce Mill on the Mid-Atlantic Grain Fair and Conference.
All righty. Hey, everyone. So we have the lovely Angela Kramer of Friends of Pierce Mill to introduce a grant application. It's been a couple of years since we have done one from the ANC. So Angela is just going to go over the process for the grant, what's the reason for. Just FYI, we are not going to vote on it. So we're simply just going to present it, and then we will vote on it for next month's ANC meeting. So Angela, you can go right ahead. I also have some of like the documents. I can share my screen as well too. If you want me to show anything, just let me know as well.
Well, I thought I would just tell everybody about the Mid-Atlantic Grain Fair and what we hope to do in October. And if people have questions, I'm happy to answer them. So my name again is Angela Kramer, and I'm with the Friends of Pierce Mill in Rock Creek Park. As some of you may know, a couple hundred years ago, farmers used to come to Pierce Mill to have their grain ground, and we're hoping to bring that back to ANC3F coming up in October. On October 22nd, we're going to have something called the Mid-Atlantic Grain Fair, and we're going to have local farmers bringing grain to Pierce Mill. Some of the folks on this call may recall actually buying flour and cornmeal at Pierce Mill back in the day. We hope you'll be able to do that again. We're going to have cooking demonstrations in Picnic Grove number 1. You'll learn about whole grain cooking and how to make whole grain pasta. The mill will be running. We'll have all kinds of craft activities for families and kids. So it should be a really fun day. It's Sunday, October 22nd, and it's part of a much larger thing that we're planning with the Common Grain Alliance and also with UDC Causes. That's the College of Agriculture, get this correct, it's the College of Agriculture, Urban Sustainability and Environmental Sciences at UDC. So we're partnering with them as well to create this event. The reason we're coming to the ANC is that we hope to close Shoemaker Street on that day. That's the street that runs perpendicular to Tilden Street. It's the street that the Hungarian embassy is on. And we hope to close that street in order to create a sort of oh, great, James has my map. Thank you, James, wonderful. So you can see what we're planning here. I'm glad someone came prepared tonight. This is what we're planning, is to close Shoemaker Street. So we'll be able to have an area where local farmers can sell grain. We can have local businesses sell baked goods. We'll have educational activities there as well. We're looking at folks from the school garden movement who might be able to have some activities there. So it should be a really fun day for the community. And we're working with the mayor's special events task group to get all the permits and permissions that we need in order to make this happen in October. And we've asked for support from the ANC just to help us
with the cost associated with closing a street. If anyone here has done that before, you may know there are a lot of costs. We have to provide police protection and fire protection, all kinds of safety inspections and different permits. So we're hoping for ANC support for this project. I believe that it'll be a really transformative event for the Friends of Pierce Mill. We've long wanted to do food-related events, and we've heard from lots of our neighbors that this is the kind of thing they want to see at Pierce Mill. We are a grist mill. We're a food-based historic site. So we really want to be able to offer these kinds of programming for the community, and think that if we can kind of get this off the ground this year, we'll be able to do these things in the future. So I won't take up any more time, but if anyone has any questions about the mill or the grain fair, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions from commissioners? And we're not voting on this.
Sounds great. I love a food event.
Be lots of it.
There are embassies right there, right? So I'm wondering why it wasn't closed on, you didn't have it on the other side where there's a trail near their orchards.
Yeah, so what we're looking to do is to get sort of off of part of it's going to be on National Park Service property, but there are limits to what we can do on National Park Service property. So we're looking to close Shoemaker Street, which is the street where the Hungarian embassy is. And we're just closing that section of Shoemaker between the parking lot and Tilden. So you will still have access to the parking lot. It won't really actually cut off anybody's access to anything, so.
All right. Any questions, comments from the community? Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, James. Did you want to close this off, or Angela?
I just want to thank everyone.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. So just to clarify too, so Angela hopefully will be back next month, and we'll probably vote on the grant application itself. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to, you can also email me. What is your email as well, Angela, just that people would be able to contact you for any questions?
I will say it and then also put it in the chat. It's education@friendsofpiercemill.org, and Pierce, as I'm sure you all know, is spelled EIRCE, and I'll put that in the chat, and I will also put a link to the webpage about this event so everyone can see that. So thank you so much for the time tonight. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Now moving on to the next item on our agenda are the items that we're voting on, the permit items. The next item is BZA case number 20887 regarding the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Mitch, you're taking the lead on that. Who is?
Yes, well, actually, there are a couple of people from this particular issue that are on. I'm going to turn it over to the folks from the embassy themselves to make a very short presentation on a replacement of a parking facility that they're hoping to conduct on their property. So Shane, I know you're on as well. So if you want to say anything or just turn it over to the embassy.
The other person?
people.
Is it Martin? Is it Martin the other? Okay.
Yes.
He just
Yes.
asked.
I'm
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Shane is there as well. Yeah. Let's start off with Shane.
And we also have Daniel Solomon. I think I saw him.
Oh, let me find. Yes, he has to
I let
turn.
him in. He's here. Yeah.
Yeah, he has
There
to
he
turn.
is.
Okay. There
He's
you go.
there. All set to get started?
Yes, you're all set.
Great. And I do have some slides if I may
Yep.
share my screen, if that's okay.
Yes.
And all right, I'm sharing now. Is that everyone can see that? Great. Well, thank you, Commissioner Bear, for your time and your guidance as in the lead up to today's meeting. And commissioners, thank you for your time this evening. I'm going to keep my remarks brief. My name is Shane Detman. I'm an urban planner with Goulston Stores. I believe my colleague Jeff Utz, the lead attorney on the BZA case, is also dialed in this evening. We're here to present with you a brief presentation on a parking structure replacement project at the Embassy of the Netherlands located at 4200 Linnaean Avenue. I also have with me Deputy Ambassador Martin Boef with the embassy, as well as Daniel Solomon with the transportation consultant Grove Slade and Associates. I'll be very brief in my comments in terms of setting the stage for the project, and then hand it off to Deputy Ambassador Martin Boef for a couple remarks regarding community engagement. The site again is located on Linnaean Avenue. You see there in red, the existing Chancery building has been there since the early 1960s, as well as the parking garage that's situated behind the existing Chancery. Here you have Linnaean Avenue. This is the existing Chancery building. No changes are proposed to the Chancery building. It is the parking structure that's located at the back of the Chancery. As you can see here, it's a three-tier parking structure, again, built in the early 1960s along with the Chancery building. And the purpose of the project is it's reached the end of its useful life, beyond the point where even just renovations are adequate enough to maintain the structural stability of the parking garage. So this is just a side-by-side of the existing and the proposed, just to show you that the footprint of the proposed parking structure is largely the same as the existing structure and in the same location as the existing one is as well. Just a site plan showing that in addition to providing a new structurally stable parking structure for the embassy, the proposed structure will also greatly improve the overall sustainability of that portion of the site as well. Right now, there's no sustainable stormwater management of the existing structure. That'll change with this project. There'll be green roofs, there'll be solar panels on top of the roof. They'll use sustainable materials to build the parking structure. There'll also be bioretention for stormwater management. And this one just shows a section showing kind of the low profile of the structure in relation to the height of the existing building. The new structure will not be visible from Linnaean or any sort of area around the perimeter of the site. And this is just a rendering of the proposed parking structure. And with that, I'd like to hand it off to Martin for a couple comments regarding efforts that the embassy has made to notify the neighbors of the project.
Yes, thank you, Shane, and thanks to the ANC and to Commissioner Bear for this opportunity to explain what we are going to do. We've reached out to the neighbors on 2 occasions. First one was both times it was via email. First time was in November of 21, and the second time was earlier this month. And on both occasions, we received a couple of reactions, mainly thanking us for reaching out and for informing the neighborhood of our plans. There was one specific question from one of our neighbors who was wondering how we would deal with traffic management, assuming on his part that the parking garage capacity would increase, which is actually not the case. It will be slightly smaller in terms of the number of cars that can park in the garage. So that basically, addressed his question completely, and he didn't have any further concerns. In general terms, some of the neighbors will point out to us concerns about a completely unrelated issue, unrelated to the parking garage, namely traffic in general. And sometimes there will be cars that drive too fast in either Linnaean Avenue or Upton Street. Again, this is completely unrelated, but I just wanted to let you know that we take those signals seriously, and we always alert our colleagues that they should abide by the traffic rules. One last comment. We reach out, as I stated before, via email, and we used 2 email lists from one of our neighbors and one of the Hillwood Museum. We do not have email lists of the neighborhood as an embassy, but it does mean that it's imperfect. So I would appreciate any signals, if you receive them as ANC, from neighbors that feel that they are not involved and that they're not on one of those email lists, because of course we want to have them as complete as possible. So that's what I wanted to share with you, and I'm pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Hi, everyone. Daniel Solomon. I'm a principal and transportation planner with Grove Slade. We're a local transportation planning and engineering firm. So I'll just quickly go over some of the preliminary transportation aspects during construction, which this slide is showing here. On the slide, you'll see kind of at the top and top left, that's where the contractor field office will be located on the existing embassy grounds during construction. And then what we've proposed, given the difficulty getting certain materials up through that, you see that driveway, how it bends. It's pretty hard to move materials on and off of there. So as such, we're coordinating with DDOT, the Department of Transportation, on a temporary material storage and staging area, which would be approximately 150 to 170 feet. I think those details need to be dialed in as we get closer to actually permitting, but we've started coordinating with them, at least on the concept thus far. The zone would be limited to 10 feet in width, which, if you see the next slide over, we've kind of done some maneuvering analysis to show that it still works in terms of vehicular circulation and still maintains 2 traffic lanes on either side, and we would abide by all of DDOT's guidelines when it comes to construction staging and temporary use of public space for construction staging. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions anybody has for us.
Thanks, Daniel. That concludes our presentation. And happy to again answer any questions.
Any questions from the commissioners?
How long is the construction? Sorry, I'm sorry, James, I should have raised my hand.
That's okay. Go ahead, Courtney. Go first.
How long is the construction anticipated to take? I know it's a terrible question to people embarking on construction, but approximately.
Approximately 12 months.
Thank you.
You mentioned two like Google groups. Can you mention like one more time quickly? Like which ones were you mentioning? Or like email listserv groups?
Okay, so I asked a couple of neighbors how to deal with the emails, not having a list myself. And then one of our neighbors advised me to contact the Hillwood Museum, as they have a list that they regularly use. And she also knew of a neighbor who is kind of a contact point for other issues with, dealing with, issues of general concern. So those are the 2 lists that I used. But I'm afraid there might be a slight overlap. So some people may be getting too many emails. It's not a perfect system, but it's the best we have right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I was asking too because like I'm part of a Google group where it's mostly neighbors on like Tilden and Upton Street that go down like Pierce Mills. So like I try and get in contact with the people that are from like that listserv as well to get like updates, because I'm sure that neighbors from that group want to hear like updates for the embassy, especially for the construction as well.
Sorry, I'm not sure if I understand you completely, James. Are you saying you have an extra group of neighbors that would be interested to receive emails from the embassy?
Yes.
Okay, and would you be able to share that list of?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I can email you afterwards. So.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Baer.
I'd like to just point out that I've had contact with my contacts in the Lydian Lane and Lenore Lane area with regard to this. And I also have someone who's a contact on Upton, who has chimed in on this, and all have said that there has been contact and good communications with the embassy, and that they have spread the word through the community there, and that they haven't gotten any questions beyond some of the ones that have been addressed today, the transportation plan for it. So I would like to just say that the contacts that I've had, partly because of the Soapstone Valley work and the way that we're trying to get out the word through that particular listserv or that distribution, that people are satisfied with how the embassy has been approaching this project.
Great. Are there any more questions, comments from commissioners? Any questions, comments from the community? Seeing none, is there a motion to vote on the permit on BZA case?
I move that the ANC3F vote, I don't know, affirmatively with regard to this particular permit application, or endorse it. I'm not sure what the exact word should be.
Well, it's a special exception.
And I second that.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes on the special exception for the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Thank you, everyone. And Commissioner Baer will follow up with you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you very much and have a great evening.
Same to you. The next item on the agenda is 4652 to 4656 Broad Branch Road, application for paving, curb and gutters. And that is that Commissioner Courtney Carlson?
No, that's mine again.
Oh, Commissioner Baer, sir.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to monopolize the agenda this evening. I was told that someone from the Richards Williams architect, who are handling this for the client, was going to speak tonight, either Gladys or Olivia. Are either of them on the meeting this evening to talk about this particular permit application?
I do not see anyone by those names.
Okay, well then we're a little bit ahead of ourselves with regard to the agenda. So what I would ask is that if we can circle back, if we could, at the end of the then we would be helpful. The next one is also mine. Shamali's store at the corner of Albemarle and Connecticut Avenue also has a permit, and the gentleman from that organization, I believe, is on the meeting and was going to share the plans for that application. So I believe that he's on. If he'd identify himself and we can go forward with it, that'd be great.
Yes. Do you know who that is?
We just had someone join. I don't know if it's them or anyone relevant.
Well, actually, it's the owner, Mr. Shamali himself, who was going to be on, and I don't see it here, so
Okay.
I will apologize again.
No
for-
worries. If you can follow up with them, if you can give them a quick call, both permits, to let them know where we are. The new sidewalk cafe permit.
That is mine. that is mine. That is a request from Rosemary's Bistro to add additional seating in front of the nail salon adjacent to their property. I met with them this week. I don't know, the owner of Rosemary Bistro is not in town right now. So I don't believe anyone is on the call on their behalf. We don't have any letters of support, and I'd ask that maybe we, I'm going to try and continue to work with them to withdraw this and perhaps postpone it to the fall, because as of right now, they have the additional seating in the tent that's permitted at least through the end of the year. So we met with them. We met with Fernandez Main Street. We'll continue to work with them.
Any questions, comments from the commissioners? Anything from the community regarding the new sidewalk?
I love Rosemary Bistro. Is that a comment?
You're funny. Okay.
Commissioner Carlson.
It's a widely held sentiment.
Do we know if they're going to be coming on the call tonight at all to like speak on it or anything, or any confirmation on their end at all?
Well, as I said, I met with them. I met with their manager this week, and the owner is out of town. They had not discussed this with their neighbor, nor do they have a letter of support from any of the neighbors, particularly the neighbor who I spoke to, whose front would be blocked by this, is not in support of it. So again, we'd like to work with them because I think probably most people on the call are big fans of Rosemary's Bistro and the vibrancy that it brings to that block. And so we want them to be as successful as possible. And as of right now, they have this sidewalk cafe. They have a lot of outdoor tables, which is amazing, and they're often very full. And so at the point when that is no longer an option for them, we want to help work with them to find other spaces where they can put outdoor tables, because we want them to be as full as they can possibly be and feed as many of us as they can. So whereas I would say that as a commission, it's difficult for us to support this when they don't have the support of the joining business, and they'd be blocking their sight line from the sidewalk. I want to help them in any way we can. And I communicated with them as best I could, notified them, obviously about the meeting. We were notified about their petition through DDOT and not from them.
Okay.
Since we're ahead of schedule and we have a little bit of time, I just wanted to comment on this real quick. Some just spitballing idea or compromise could be that it's just common seating between Italian Bar and Rosemary Bistro. If that's okay, that's a landmine. Let's not touch it then.
We were, there's no bad ideas, Ryan. No bad ideas. I think we would love to, explore with any of these businesses any way that they can work together, increase more seating. And again, Rosemary Bistro is such a great addition to that block. It adds vibrancy at lunch and dinner. We're so happy to have them. So we'll just keep on showing them the love, everybody. Show up, eat there.
Okay.
Eat in the neighborhood.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Carlson. I see that we do have Henry is on the line for 5211 Chevy Chase Parkway Northwest.
Just so Mitch doesn't feel bad, that's also mine again too, so.
All right. Henry.
Hi, Henry.
Hi, thanks for having us, guys. Really appreciate the time.
Who else is on that I need to highlight? I had spotlight too.
I think I just admitted the homeowner.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. You did admit me. I can leave if you want me to leave. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, we wanted to say no. We want you here. Welcome.
All right, and you're on. Henry, you can share your screen whenever you want.
Yeah,
Well-
so we're hoping to, it's not as cool as an embassy, but we will showing what we're looking for is we're doing an addition to the rear of Stephanie's house, and we want to go 13 feet instead of the 10 that is, what is required. So I just was going to go through the drawing set that we have and talk about it a little bit, and then open it up to if anyone has any questions. So I guess I can share my screen here. Can everyone see that all right? I use Teams mostly, so.
Yes.
That's good.
Great. So we have our kind of first pass at a perspective here. We're not sure exactly what the material will be on the rear, but it's a 2-story and a basement at the front of the house, and then at the back it would be considered a 3-story because of the grade change here. The house is located just off of Connecticut Avenue. It's a semi-attached. So we have one neighbor that shares a party wall with. And this is the layout right now. We're about 3 feet right now in front of the neighbor at 5209, and we want to add another 10 feet for addition. We will be reworking the deck and some of the access, as it's a very kind of interesting retaining wall condition here where we really drop down the grade. Mostly, I mean, we're just adding some interior space here. It's not a drastic change to a lot of interior space. It's not as big as the existing house. I don't know if that's incredibly important for this, as I don't think anyone will be in here for this part. And let's see, one thing we do have, since we do have the dog leg, we are still proposing windows along that side. And along the property wall, or sorry, the party wall side, obviously we don't have any windows there and can't from code. And the last thing I do want to say is that we do have a letter of support from our neighbor there. And we're really grateful to them. One of the things is we were rezoned to this ANC, so we actually filed this in August of 2022. So I think I could probably speak for Stephanie. She's very excited to get this process moving. She's been very patient. And I just want to also show kind of the different heights that we have going on here. It doesn't change in the front. We're keeping all the street presence the same. As well as this is a fairly large lot where the new addition with the rear windows, we still have about 65 to 68 feet to the rear property line, and we're only taking up 24% of lot occupancy, so we're keeping all the vegetation and it's nice and open and airy. And we're just looking for 3 extra feet from code. So I can, if anyone wants anything else, I'd love to open the floor to anyone who has any questions or concerns, and I can hop around to different drawings if needed. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
My question, Henry, was we had another exception on Nebraska Avenue, and it seems what they had said was in other parts of the city with attached houses that you wouldn't have to ask for an exception because it's part of how one would expect the zoning to go when there's a lot of attached houses. Is this the same situation?
Yeah, so this is I used to do a lot of these about 4 years ago. I used to do a lot of NCBZAs, and this is a relatively new rule. So it's for attached and semi-attached. If they are not attached, homes that you don't have to follow this. So it's mostly for when you share a party wall. So if we did have another attached home instead of the dog leg, we would want their support as well. But in this case, we just have the one single family home that we share this with on our border. And so that's who we're really concerned about in this case. Otherwise, 4 years ago, we wouldn't have had to do this. Or maybe that's off. Maybe 5 years ago now. COVID kind of messed up that scale for me. But yeah, so in general, detached residents don't have to do this. Semi-attached and attached do, and there's different degrees of who they're looking for approval or support.
Do you have
And to
support?
clarify, you add, to just reiterate, you have the support of the neighbor with whom you share the party wall, and that's
Yes,
what's
sorry. So
important.
I actually can pull that up
You
here.
said it, but I just want to make sure
Okay.
we reiterate that so all the commissioners understand that, because
Gotcha.
I think that's really important.
They actually want to do the same thing in a few years.
Yeah, everyone's just
Down
going to
the
keep
path for them.
jumping. Yeah. Here, let me see here.
That was the case, Stephanie, last meeting on Nebraska. A lot of the neighbors had done this sort of similar work. So.
Great. If anyone else has any more questions for me.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, any questions from commissioners? Any questions from the community? Seeing none, is there a motion to vote to approve this special exception relief for 10-foot setback for an addition at 5211 Chevy Chase Parkway?
I move that ANC3F approve the exception.
And I
Seconded.
second. Oops.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes. And Commissioner Carlson will follow up with you. Thank you.
Great. We appreciate your time. And just so you guys know, we do have our BZA case tomorrow. And I know that's
I
not
know.
fair to
I
ask,
got
but
you.
thank you. I really
I know.
appreciate everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
And now we have.
Thank you, bye.
No problem.
Chair,
We
Chair?
have- Yes.
the gentleman from Somalis has come into the to the meeting, so I'd like you to acknowledge him. Would you raise your hand?
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
okay.
And can we have some time either now or in a few minutes to have him make a short presentation of what they're proposing for their permit application, please?
He's next. Right on time. Hi,
Great.
welcome.
Thank
You
you.
can share your screen if you want it. Or, yeah, whatever you want to do for your presentation.
I was just gonna do a verbal presentation of what we plan on doing at our
Okay.
store.
Okay.
So our store is located on Connecticut and Albemarle Street in Northwest DC. And it is currently a grocery store. And we are in the process of adding a cafe, so adding hot food to the location. And we're looking to add seating, to have an outdoor seating area.
Oh, okay. Okay. Any questions?
Can you describe what it will look like, or how many seats and how many tables you're proposing to put outside?
I have a drawing. I guess I can share it with the.
That would be good.
Let me see. I'm not too familiar with Zoom, but it's basically 3 tables with a total of 10 chairs. seating for 10.
And the location, will it be on Connecticut side or the Albemarle side? Where
Split in between. So one table would be towards next to the bus stop. I'm not sure if you're familiar. And then the other two
I can share my screen. I think I found the site plan for it. This might be it right here. This what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's basically it. 3 tables and total of 10 chairs, and we plan on adding movable partitions.
And just to clarify, on the right side, that's Albemarle, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, can I ask a question? On the left side, does that abut the seating area of Italian Pizza Kitchen?
Yes, further to the left, that's
And
where
you don't have the clearance there to go on that side of it? I'm just wondering why you chose to put it along Albemarle as opposed to next to there. Is it because of the bus stop?
yeah, it's because of the bus stop.
Got it.
But there is about 12 feet, so there is space between the store and the bus stop.
Are there any concerns about, I know that the preschool uses that corner to turn down, and maybe they don't anymore because Zepson's closed, but just about access getting, it seems like a narrow path along where you have that corner.
They could still, it'll still be open from that alleyway where the preschool walks through the parking garage, the parking, the rear parking. There's about 4 feet of space, so they can easily walk by.
From your door, from the corner of the door to where the tables are.
Correct, yeah.
I'm just wondering about the 2 tables that are abut to Albemarle, where that side of that sidewalk is heavily trafficked. Are you removing the trees that are near, the little bushes that are nearby to make space for it, which I could see, or is it going to be on the sidewalk?
No, so basically where the corner of the store meets the first table, that's where the bush is. So we would be putting the table in front of the bush. We wouldn't be removing anything.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
How big is that area? Because that's I'm trying to envision that there, because it's a really small area, especially when you leave the store and like you turn right and
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So each one of those squares represents a foot. So there's about 12 feet from the corner of the store to where I put the movable fence, and then about a foot until you get to the sidewalk. Movable partition, sorry.
and there's not a lot of traffic from people walking up or down Albemarle to Connecticut Avenue.
More traffic on Connecticut.
Because the bus stop is right there. So you're getting people getting off the bus and then walking down.
If I may share my screen, I have the street view map just to show the frontage real quick.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much. I was just trying to look that up, Brian. Thanks.
Let me know if you could see this.
Oh, that's so much better.
Oh, yeah, that's so helpful. Thank you.
That's so much better.
Yeah, so they can still, we wouldn't be blocking any sidewalks or.
Okay, so where would it go now? It would be right on that corner in between the bushes, right there?
In front of the bush.
In front of.
No, yeah, like if you move the mouse a little bit to the left.
Yep.
Right there.
In this, oh, okay.
Yeah, like in front of it. We
In front of it, because there's a little alcove in there, okay.
We wouldn't be removing
Right
the bush.
here.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's so tight.
That is. And if I could ask, and so you don't have access to your rooftop? So I actually have a view that most people don't have. Where I am, I can see your store and I can see over it. And you've got the perfect rooftop for an outdoor patio if you had access to the roof. It's just curious.
The building is about 100 years old, and I don't think the roof would support having any weight there.
Thank you. That's a code issue.
The tables are small. They're about 28 inches in diameter.
Ryan, could you share the screen one more time, please?
Yeah, sure.
So
Give me
like
one
the
sec.
street view, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out like where will like the one table be? Is it gonna be between like the sign and like the bus stop, or is it gonna be further out on the corner?
Kind of like where that A board is, the A-frame board. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So it won't be like right next to like the bus stop necessarily, or
close to the bus stop.
okay.
Can I ask my question again? Because now that I'm seeing this, it's more clear. Are you not permitted to use the space adjacent to Italian Pizza Kitchen behind the bus stop? Is that not a possibility, or is that just not where you're choosing to put it?
I mean, I could, they're movable, so we could definitely move the tables once we see them and accommodate them better if we were to get approved.
I was just wondering, it seems a little tucked in, cozy space. I
Wait,
want to, if you were between your building and the bus stop, as opposed to having that one table that's sort of out there.
Yeah, we could move it once, if it would be better, we could definitely move it.
Is there a reason why it's unenclosed? Because I just see there's just a lot of foot traffic right there, because a lot of people walk behind the bus stop.
Exactly. There's a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah, so it's.
I was thinking there was less behind the bus stop than there would be sort of over on at this corner.
There's a lot of foot traffic
To the bush. I think there's not a lot of there's a lot of foot traffic there, period. But it's so nice to have a vibrant, open cafe.
Yeah.
As well.
So the pizza place, their seating kind of closes off where the bus stop is. So if you were to access the bus stop, you would either access it from Connecticut Avenue as opposed to going from behind it. And when I applied, I initially applied for an enclosed cafe, but I was told to apply for an unenclosed cafe since I don't have an awning or a permanent fence closing it. So they considered movable partitions as an unenclosed cafe.
And just wanted to clarify too that those two tables will be going in the nook here between the bushes. Or behind the bush.
In front of the bush.
So yeah, here.
On the side.
And
on the sidewalk. Okay.
Right? Yeah, right
on
there.
the concrete.
Okay, along. Okay.
Yes.
Along the windows.
Yeah, you wouldn't be bothering the bush at all. It would just be that sidewalk. And
Would it be possible to even put all the tables like near like the bush at all, or would that be too cluttered?
Well, the table would be near the bush. The first one is right next to the bush, and then the partition is blocking the sidewalk from the actual tables.
I feel like it would just be a random thing smack dab in the middle of traffic.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how. So I'm just trying to also struggle where the tables are. So they're not along the windows along this concrete here, correct?
You can't put that. You can't put them there. They have to be kind of in front of the door area. And so actually, the petitions probably will channel the foot traffic from Albemarle along from Connecticut along Albemarle to the sidewalk area where is actually the normal way that people should be walking down the street there.
I mean, and because it is unenclosed, these tables can be moved to accommodate traffic if there seems to be any issues.
Right.
And I think you guys have been working with Gloria, right? She's really a great resource on this kind of issue, how to.
We have, yes. If you wouldn't mind zooming in to those squares in front of the bush.
Sure. These ones here?
No, on concrete squares.
Yeah. Like this side to the right or to the left?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
to the right.
see those 4 squares would be where the first table would go, and then the 4 additional squares in front of it. Not where the sidewalk is, but towards the right.
Okay, so it's a big square.
Yeah, each square is about 2.5 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, how long would you have this up for?
Spring, summer, fall, when the weather is nice, and then put them away for storage during the winter.
So you're envisioning people sitting outside, eating, drinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you doing more? Are you expanding your service? Since we had a love fest for Rosemary's Bistro, I will say my family has a love fest for Shamali, so I'm so happy to see it.
Thank you. We are adding a grill at this location, so
Oh, great.
we're in the works with the permits. So hopefully sometime this summer we can start construction.
That'll be a great addition.
Thank you.
Am I good to stop sharing?
Let's see if we have any more questions, because this really helps, honestly.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Ryan, that was great.
Because you have to have real vision to be able to see this. Because I'm used to going there, but I would have never imagined space there to sit and just kind of sit outside and eat.
Yeah, there's adequate room there. I mean, I walk along there. My building is right next door to where this is located, and I fully support this application. I think that there's room there. I think that it can be accommodated, moved around a little bit once the tables and chairs are there, but the side view does give you a good picture of how the tables will fit in there pretty nicely.
Are there any questions from the community? Any comments from the community? The community is silent.
We're pretty loud though.
Hi, this is Paul. Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I just want to note, I've recently joined the Citywide Pedestrian Advisory Committee, thanks to our friend Marlene and Councilman Mendelson. And we had a presentation on the city's DDOT's Sidewalk Cafe rules, and they're pretty strict about making sure that the sidewalk path is kept unobstructed. So these guys will have to go through that review. I don't know if you've gone through it yet, but in terms of making sure the pedestrian flow is unimpeded, DDOT will take a hard look at that too. So that's another benefit of another set of eyes on this.
Of course, we wouldn't put the partition anywhere near the sidewalk.
Okay, so you have gone through DDOT or not yet?
Yes, the application was through DDOT.
Or
For
Paul,
the cafe.
okay. So Paul, what you're talking about, they would have seen this application?
Well, they won't approve it unless it meets the dimensional standards to make sure the stop is kept clear and the sidewalks are kept clear. So if the commission approves a general approach, then DDOT will make sure that there's no blockage of the sidewalk space.
Okay. Any more questions from the commissioners? Any more questions, comments from the community? Seeing none, are we ready for a vote? Is there a motion to approve the application for Shamali's new sidewalk cafe unclosed?
I so move.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes, and Commissioner Bayer will follow up with you. Thank
so
you.
much. Appreciate
Keep
it.
us posted on the grill. So delicious. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And then, is anyone on for the, for 4652 to 4656 Broad Branch Road?
Yes, my name is Kayhan.
Oh, okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
All right, well, welcome. So we're now on 4652, 4656 Broad Branch Road, application for paving, curb and gutters, driveways for new residential construction. If you can give us a brief on what's happening, if you have anything to share, it's helpful. Any drawings or anything?
Okay, so as I started, I'm the developer and builder. I'm expecting my civil engineer Gladys Sarah, who's worked with the different agencies for the permit process, to be joining us. I assumed she was going to be on now, but I'm going to take a moment to try to make sure that she gets on. We were expecting to be on at, I guess, 9:23, and
we got through quickly. Okay, you know what? We will give you a little bit more time. We're going to go to a resolution right now.
Perfect.
And we'll go right back to you.
Perfect. I'll be calling back shortly.
All right. The next item is a resolution supporting Lights Out Hour DC's Earth Hour event.
Sure thing. If you don't mind, I'll start.
Yes.
So this is a pretty simple resolution. We received a request from, actually, hold on. I have a lot of tabs. Let me get rid of this. If we have time, why not? So I received this resolution, I believe, or a request for our ANC to consider this resolution sometime in February. And I think we received it after, or we hosted our February meeting, so we didn't have time to put it on the agenda. But considering the proposed date for this resolution is coming up, put it on the agenda, and hopefully we'll vote on it tonight. So Earth Hour is an organization that, or rather it's an event, an established international event that begins the last Saturday of March, lasting from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And March 25th is the last Saturday of this month. It's just to call attention to ecological and environmental difficulties and effects brought on from climate change, and Earth Hour, and I believe the organization in DC that's personally advocating for Earth Hour is called Lights Out DC, and they were requesting that our ANC just support and encourage the general spirit of the event, where participants will use an hour of their time from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on March 25th to do something, no matter how small, something positive for our planet, and at minimum, turn off all their non-essential lights from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It's nothing really binding. It's just our ANC encouraging everyone to just try and do their part a little bit.
Any questions from or comments from commissioners? Any questions, comments from the community?
Let's rock it.
Seeing none, is there a motion to vote on the resolution supporting Lights Out Hour DC Earth Hour event on March 25th?
I proposed it and I move to support it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you, Ryan, for that. And looks like the last item of our agenda, I see Gladys is back in Kaon.
I'm here.
Hi, so welcome. Please, you can do your presentation. If you have anything you'd like to share, you could share screen as well.
Okay, share screen. So we're doing a, for this project, we're doing 3 new single family homes. And within this, it is going to, the work that we're doing in public space is a new curb cut, and we're doing a driveway. There's also partial disturbance here for within the building restriction line. Can also show you more things to bring up. Will be a rendering of the landscaping.
I'm sorry, is the one curb cut for all 3? Just in that one in the middle?
For the 2, and then there's another curb cut, but it's not really a curb cut, it's coming in from the alley. So it's not, that's why it doesn't really count as a curb. It's not really within public space jurisdiction. They are we did coordinate with UFA. That's why we have a jog within the walk. We did have to do a new walk or sidewalk as a result of DC Walk Initiative. I think that's what it's called. And also avoid the existing trees within that. So you see right here, we have flexi pave for our proposed walkway, and there's the driveway that's going to be shared between these two homes. I think I have the rendering. It's still not loading. It's a pretty heavy file. So if you guys have any questions.
Oh, can you go into what's happening? Like, what are you?
Okay, here you go. So we're keeping it the vegetation as far, especially in the public space area, as existing and as this keeping the existing nature and just trying to incorporate these homes within the existing layout of the property. There's currently a very steep area back here, and we're just putting the homes within that. So all these trees are existing. These trees here, like you see that there are different patterns. So we're just putting these homes within the existing shrubbery and not trying to disturb as much as possible. We are doing some sort of stormwater management because we are adding these impervious areas. So the stormwater management would be within the driveway, which is optimum, so that we can make sure that we're capturing the oil spillage from the vehicle accessible areas within these areas. Again, like the other thing is that we're doing the walkways, that's the new sidewalk, and as a part of improvement in the driveway. And we're also capturing all the water before it leaves the site to reduce stormwater management runoff.
Does the sidewalk, I don't think there are other sidewalks that sidewalk
No, it doesn't.
Does it connect to other sidewalks along Broad Branch?
No, it doesn't connect to any sidewalk. It just connects to nowhere. So I think
I just was wondering if it's something the Streets and Sidewalks Committee is going to try and have to connect another orphan sidewalk.
Yeah, it's just I think the whole with DC, they're saying all the developments need to have put sidewalk if there's no sidewalk.
Understood.
And
That's
eventually all of DC will have sidewalks and people will be able to walk safely down the street.
Hip, hip, hooray for it.
Anybody has any questions?
We have one from Paul Harrison.
Paul.
Hi, so since I was invoked, or we were invoked, I'm glad to see the sidewalk here, and I know that the Broad Branch reconstruction project does envision having sidewalks all along Broad Branch. So I just wanted to check to see if you guys had gotten any feedback, or if you had aligned the construction of the sidewalk here with the new plans for the roadbed, or gotten any feedback from DDOT, or how you chose the design of the sidewalk that you do have.
We coordinated with UFA for this, and also we coordinated with I guess Office of Planning, and as well as what was Sarah Batchelor at CFA, so Commission of Fine Arts. So we tried it was a balance of coordinating with all these three agencies to come up with this layout. That's why it's not a straight sidewalk going straight through. That's why it's like bending is here. We're more so along the this area, this curb. Then we jog back up, and then same here. So it was a coordinated effort, but with multiple different agencies.
What's the width of this, the minimum width of the sidewalk?
6 feet.
6 feet, okay. Well, that matches what they've got designed, so thanks for answering that.
Does it go up over, those look like large trees there. Does it have to change in grade to go up over tree roots or around? I can't quite tell.
Actually, this is what we ended up doing at the end. This is what actually got approved. So I'm sorry about showing that, but I guess I wanted to show you the pretty stuff. But this was actually ended up being approved. We just ended up CFA, and CFA was what said, hey, let's just make it straight, instead of like doing all the jogs. So it is. So the reason why it's like here, there's, I think like in the future we did like talk to DDOT, like it's really steep here. You see that it goes from like 120, like 119 to like 117. So it's like pretty steep here, like the neighboring lots. And it's going to be a little steep, so it's not going to be like a 2% cross slope. But DDOT still required the walkway.
So I'm sorry, it's not straight. Is it tilted? What do you mean by it?
It's not going to be a 2% cross slope. So because you see here that there's a 1 foot cross slope here. So it's going to be, there may end up being like a little bit of a wall on this side. So this to raise it so that the slope isn't as steep going this way. So there will end up being a bit of a wall along the curb to prevent the extreme slope from this the going towards the street.
Like a wall above a curb.
Yeah.
So it can be flat. Okay.
So yeah, so perhaps it would be more so within the curb, just so that we can prevent. So the sidewalk could be flat, exactly.
Any more questions from commissioners?
I don't have a question. I wanted just to make a comment, please.
Yes.
This area of Broad Branch is generally isolated from some of its other neighbors. Although I did walk this area about 2 weeks ago when I was in town for a few days, and also walked up that private alleyway. I did knock on the door of the house that is immediately to the left of the building there, the alleyway, and I didn't get any answer from the house, so I can't tell you that I've contacted anyone, but I did try to knock on their door to see whether there was anyone home and had any comment to have with regard to this particular application.
So are there letters of support?
I don't know. Yeah, Gladys, have you guys gotten any letters one way or the other on with regard to this development?
No. Have you, Kayon?
So as far as the neighbor that you're referring to, that's a father and son. They subdivided that property, and the son's at the older property, which is closer to mine, and father's next door to him, further out, and they're very pleased. I have a few other neighbors, friends that live behind this project, and everybody's very excited and pleased about our new project, and we haven't had any negative feedback. We did have the ANC letters go out during the initial CFA presentations and phases, and there had been no negative comments at all.
So you haven't heard anything about construction at all, even with any of the changes? I mean, this is a huge change.
I'm sorry, what is the question again?
I mean, I guess my question is if you've heard, has anyone commented about construction that's going to take place? Do you know how long will it take for you to finish the project as well?
It's a new 3-home construction, could take anywhere between 12 to 18 months from breaking ground. And like I said, we send the scope of work and the plans while we submit it to the CFA, to the ANC and the neighbors. And there, as I indicated, there hasn't been any response or any negative feedback on the neighbors about the construction.
We asked from the other people who've been up today, they had letters of support that were submitted. Did you have any letters of support that you got from the neighbors?
No, we never.
Because that's been the standard with other zoning permits we've looked at. Again, this must have happened before we were in office, but I was in office, but that's one of the things we looked for from other projects, is seeing letters of support from neighbors.
Yeah, we were not aware of the requirement there. We were not aware of any requirements of letters of support. We sent notices to the neighbors and for the CFA process and to ANC, and there was no remarks or questions that came back. So no, we don't have any letters one way or the other from the neighbors.
This is probably just a no-brainer question, but I'm assuming you'll have silt barriers and other runoff barriers on the very steep grading parts behind what it looks like behind the houses.
Yeah, for sure. We have them like every 50 feet because of the steep grading. This project's already gotten DOE stormwater management approval. I guess like a couple of weeks ago. And so this is the last item remaining for approval.
Sounds good. Yeah, that looks incredibly steep.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes from what, 160 to 120, about 40 feet drop. It's pretty fun to climb. As a thigh breaker.
All right, well, are there any more questions, comments from commissioners? Any questions, comments from the community? Seeing none. can I get a motion to vote on this? It's a application for, so it's for everything almost, for paving, curb and gutters, driveways.
I move that we approve the application.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes.
Whoop, whoop. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
This is big. Thank you, and Mitch will follow up with you on that.
Thanks.
1 second. Is there anything? Okay, we have nothing else to consider.
Did
And
we
it's-
motion anything on the Rosemary Bistro at all? I mean, we can also motion to like table it, but there has been no motion on that thus far.
Nobody came to present their case. I don't quite understand. It needs to be commented on. I got an email saying that SMD3F06 needs to comment on it before, I believe it's the 29th. So it needed to be on the agenda for this meeting. So I did the work this week, but in absence, I actually called Claudette to talk about this earlier, in absence of them presenting, them speaking to their neighbor who opposes it. I want to support them and help them be successful. But
So I
it didn't help me. I'm trying to,
Yeah, I suggested trying to see if we can get the date extended so that we could have that discussion with Rosemary Bistro.
Well, the thing is, I had the discussion. So the question is,
Well,
are they going to continue to pursue it, given the fact that their neighbor who opposes it? And we tried to sort of do that work with them this week to get them to a better solution. Is it possible to, and I've written several emails following up from our conversations asking, they had suggested to me that they would withdraw the application until the fall. But again, I don't have, when I asked for that to be followed up in writing, I didn't receive that. So I can ask zoning or TOPS for a delay, but I don't know if that's, for me then to respond to it if they're not asking for a delay. I would think that I would have to weigh in, but can I circle back with our commission, in the next several days once I talk to someone from transportation or zoning about what we can do as next steps if the petitioner wasn't present at the meeting to make their case? I think that's fair.
I would say, you could do that with zoning. You could reach out to the OAC as well, because I would say, because we have to, we have to consider it, or else they kind of, I guess the next question is, what happens if we just don't say anything? But the thing is, if it comes up, it has
I don't want to not say anything because I think that poorly represents their neighbor who is not in favor of it and whose storefront would be blocked by their table.
Yeah, so if they don't hear from us when we're supposed to be advocating for the community, then it's almost as if they're not really trying to consider the community. But you as a commissioner can try to you know, you can delay it so that they could make time to come before the commission.
Yeah, so I'm happy to try and delay, ask zoning or transportation if they would extend the deadline so that we could have them present at our next meeting.
Yeah, and if they decide,
you guys know, we found out about this on the 10th, I think, of was the first wind we got of it. So we didn't have any time in a previous meeting to consider it.
yeah. So and that will give them time to withdraw if they really will withdraw. But we're making a case that they do have to come before the ANC.
And I mean, I would say I've spent an inordinate amount of time on it this week. So
I'm frustrated.
So, I'm frustrated they didn't come to say their piece.
Okay. So that's the next step.
And I want them to succeed at the very same time.
Yeah.
So
Don't
then
let
are
my
we motioning
frustration color
anything
anything.
on this resolution, even like a tabling?
Or do you could put a motion on the floor. You could do that.
I'd prefer if it would be possible to delay this. I'm not quite sure what the Roberts rules of order on it are, but tabling it while I am able to I motion to postpone hearing this case pending my conversation with the appropriate DC agency to ask for an extension of the time to review the permit. Does that sound right?
I would second that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion passes.
Thanks for talking that through with me, everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else to discuss? Seeing none, thank you everyone for joining and staying on, and please join us at our next meeting on Tuesday, April.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Second.
yes.
Second.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night. See you in April.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good evening.
Bye, everyone.